Hi everyone, welcome to the very first video in my Book of Me project. This is a year-long creative journey that we're doing together over on my Patreon with my Tiara community. Each month we explore a new theme with journaling prompts, photo ideas, and creative challenges that help us tell our own stories all about us, one chapter at a time. This first section is called Beginnings, and in this video I'll be sharing my process for creating that page. If you'd like to join in and scrapbook along with us, all the prompts and ideas are available on my Patreon, so you can work through the project right alongside us or at your own pace. This project began in June, so this video is actually from several months ago now, but I thought I would share the process with you. One thing to keep in mind throughout these pages is that a lot of the supplies that I'm using are Ali Edwards supplies, and they're very inspiring in terms of really getting my creative juices flowing and making me want to do lots of interactive elements that are kind of like one of a kind. So here I have this circle. It's on a 6x8 piece of pattern paper, and as you can see, my idea here is to perhaps use a brad or something in the middle, cut it out into a circle and make it spin somehow. And I'm thinking maybe it could spin inside of a pocket so that half of it is showing and then you spin it and see the other half. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to do this, so these process videos that go along with this Book of Me are probably going to be a little on the lengthy side. I did cut out a lot of it to get it down to 48 minutes. That's without the photos at the end, so this video is probably going to be pretty close to an hour long. Oops, ran out of ATG there. So I'm just going to cut away to me already having filled my ATG. If you're interested in seeing all of the process, including how I do my typewritten journaling on my computer and all of that, it would be that all of that information is in the real-time process videos. So I do live stream all of these, so you can check that out over on Patreon. Right now I'm making the first content page of this. There's going to be a title page before this one, but right now I'm just making this one, which is the first page of the whole album. I have this giant picture of myself, which I printed up just on my home laser printer. Not laser, it's an inkjet printer actually. And then I'm going to punch holes. My 6-hole punch at this point has broken, so I am just punching them based on, I had already punched them in the photo, so now I'm just punching them again so that that patterned paper that I put on the back of the photo also has the holes in it. And at this point I do have a new 6-hole punch, so this only happens for I think 2, maybe 3 of the videos. Now I really wanted to use this piece of paper. This is from the Q&A kit from Ali Edwards. It was one of her quarterly scrapbooking kits. I believe they're called Stories now. And I do subscribe to that kit club now, and I really, really love the supplies. They're very story oriented, which is great. And I love that they're quarterly because I don't do enough 12x12 scrapping to justify buying that much 12x12 supplies anymore. So as you can see, I'm just cutting down this page. I'm leaving it exactly as it was, but just instead of having the plain background, I am mounting each of these rectangles onto the patterned paper that also came in the same Q&A kit. This Q&A kit is going to become the basis of my entire project, so there will be pieces from this kit every single month in my Book of Me pages. It's really conducive to a introspective project like this, and so I'm just adding my roller date stamp there for the date, which is June 28th, 2025. I have the prompts all there, so if you are a Tiara, you will get a PDF of those prompts as well as the sketches. Sketches are generously provided by Christine Davidson. And I love, love, love her sketches, and so she has generously allowed me permission to use her sketches for my projects on Patreon. So I am just doing all of this journaling, and I think I will edit some of this out. I do like to show my whole process, but you don't have to see a whole lot of me journaling. I will read you some of my answers though. So just to give you a sense of what these cards say, the first one says, "What are you watching?" And then the A is a lot of shows. And then I have with Liv, ER, with Scott, The Bear, with Sophia, Ted Lasso, with The Fam, Abbott Elementary, with Sophie, Bob's Burgers, with The Movie Club, The Sopranos, and by myself, Star Trek The Next Generation. So I watch different things depending on who I'm with. The next question is, what song are you playing on repeat? And my answer is the Tragically Hip, Bob Cajun, and I wanted to make sure that I spelled that properly, so I did check out my my playlist for that. The other questions here are, what's lighting you up on the inside? Another one says, what are you daydreaming about? And the answer there is our upcoming trip. What are you creating this season? And my answer to that, I will read it just because it's relevant to the project. It says, I'm creating a space just for me in this album. I hope to better understand myself and give me a chance to think and write about some of the things I spend so much time encouraging others to think and write about. So thanks to the magic of video, we are finished with all of that journaling, the handwritten journaling, and I do my journaling ahead of time on the computer. So all through the month, these prompts are released at the beginning of each month, usually on the very first day of the month. And so we all have the month to think about them, gather photos, gather stories. And then the last Saturday of the month is when I put together my part of the project. Other tiaras do it differently. They might work on and off all through the month, but this is the way that I am doing this project. And so by the time the day comes of the live stream, now this is my little title page. That is a piece of vellum from one of the Ali Edwards kits. I believe it is. It's from the Q&A kit as well. Yes, so I have all of my journaling done ahead of time, which means I don't have to try to figure out what I want to say. A lot of times it's just a matter of copying, pasting my journaling onto labels or into journaling pieces to print up on cards. And if you are a tiara, you will see that process, meaning the process by which I take things from my computer and get them onto either cards or stickers. I show that in quite a bit of detail in the live streams, so you will be able to see that there. If you join this project late, you can go back in time and see all of the ones that already happened, so that is an option as well. Now I'm pulling out another kit here. I can't remember which one it is, but it is definitely an Ali Edwards kit from probably quite a while ago. And it has all of these little fabric badges, which I really love. So just to zhuzh up that first page a little bit, I'm taking that Let's Start badge. I thought about putting that acrylic piece, or it might actually, I think it's a die cut cardstock piece that says Begin, because that's the title of this chapter is Beginnings. But oh, it must be the Begin kit. I'm sure it is. Yes, it is. I can tell by all the content there. So yeah, I'm just looking for some pieces that will support my stories here. So the Q&A kit and the Beginnings kit, which is a stories kit from back when she used to do the 6x the pocket stories kits. And now I'm going into my chipboard and acrylic little embellishments, which I keep in these little dividers from IKEA. I keep them in the drawer right next to me so I can grab them pretty easily. Then I'm just looking for something special to put on here. And I'm going to end up not choosing any of these things. None of them work exactly the way that I want them to work. So I'm also mindful of the fact that this page is vellum, so you're going to see the back side of this. So I'm putting Let's Start right here in about the center, and then I'm going to flip this over, and I'm just going to pick a different fabric badge here. It's actually a little bit smaller, but I like how it looks with the red showing from behind, and it says Got This. So we will stick that right there. And I like that part of this card here that says the magic of beginnings. And I decided to just chop the whole thing off and just use it as a little embellishment for this full page photo of me. I do have some sketches there. There are 3 sketches every month that are included with the prompts. So I'm keeping those in mind. I don't do 12 by 12 pages. I do 6 by 8 little pages in this album. So I have used the sketches and I usually modify them. Now this thing that says fresh start, it's an acetate piece from that beginnings kit from Ali Edwards from a while ago. And my thought process here is that I would put a hinge on that and have it flip up, but it's going to be on the back side of this, so I don't need to think about how I'm going to do that quite yet. There's this set of little embellishments that are just little strips, and I'm looking at using one of them to hold a bit of journaling on this flat lay photo that I took. This was one of the photo prompts. So in addition to journaling prompts, you get photo prompts and also listing prompts. One of the photo prompts was to do a flat lay photo of what's on your bedside table, and so that is what was on my bedside table. This Ready Adventure card is an Ali Edwards card. I just stapled a piece of chipboard to it that says, it says commence, begin, start, a whole bunch of start words on there. So I'm trying to keep all the kits separate because I store them in those little Ziploc baggies, and I just want to remember what's what so that when I'm narrating, I know what I'm drawing from so that I can help you guys know what the products are that I'm using. So I did, off screen, I had to cut this part out because it's just the video would be way too long, but I printed my journaling onto a piece of sticker paper, clear sticker paper, and it says June 2025, what's on my bedside table, and I just glued that to the photo. Now, I decided to include some of this footage just so you could get a sense of how I do my journaling. So I have all of my journaling in a note on my iPhone, which also shows up on my computer because I have a Mac. And so it just says Book of Me Journaling at the top. I think it might say June. I'm not sure exactly. It's kind of tiny there on my screen right now. But it has all of my responses to all of the journaling prompts, as well as a few other ideas that I have. I just basically dump all these ideas into this notes file all through the month. And sometimes I will zhuzh it up a little bit the night before I do my live stream. I'll just have a look and reword anything that is not making good sense by the time a month goes by. Then I have 2 pages. Pages is the software that I use. It's kind of like Word, but it's the Mac version. So I have 2 pages documents that are templates. One of them is sized to 3x4. That's the one you see right now. The other one is sized to 6x4, 4x6. And I can basically print onto cards using that template because I have a PM400, which prints at 4x6 and technically not 3x4, but it will print on 3x4. It's just, it doesn't advertise that it does. And it also prints at 5x7, but I'm not printing that size for this project. So there are all these little cards. See the one with the band of color on the top of it? It's orange. I am going to be spreading those out. Those came in the Q&A kit. And I'm going to be spreading those out across the whole year of the project. So I have, it says question at the top and then answer at the bottom. I ran that through my printer. I did cut that section out of this video footage because it's just a little tedious. But again, you can check out the real times if you want to. Those are over on my Patreon. So it says the question was, what role do I play in my life and what roles do I play in my life and which ones feels the most me? And I've got my answer there, which I just copied and pasted into the Word file. So now that I'm finished with that first page, I flip it over and I have 2 little 3x4 pockets to fill, as well as something to put behind the fresh start acetate. So these in my hand are all of the pieces from the Q&A kit from Ali Edwards that I'm going to be using all through the whole year of this project. So some of them are numbered 1 through 12, some of them are numbered 1 through 6, and I'm just going to be spreading them out and using a few in each spread so that it's a bit of a repeating element in my pages. So you see that brown card, it's beige, I guess, that has the number 1 on it. It says 1 life question. And I am just, see how I'm spacing my journaling there on the template? Then I'm going to print it onto a plain piece of cardstock. So I've got these really cheap Amazon cards that are 4x6, and I am printing see what I did there? I just printed it and I'm just tearing it to see how it's going to line up with the card. I'm going to cut it so that I can see. Sorry that it's covered by my overlay there, but I'm basically adjusting the size, and I might add a space or take away a space depending on what's needed. And then when I run it through the printer, I know for sure that it's going to fit. For all of this project and for actually most of my scrapbooking, I use the same font, which is Veterans Typewriter. It's a distressed typewriter font. It's available for free through some of the common font websites. I can't remember. I've had it so long that I don't quite remember where I got it, but it's definitely available for free somewhere. So if you Google that, you'll probably find it. It's Veterans Typewriter. So as you can see, that's going to fill one of those 2 cards, and it just needs to be trimmed down a little tiny bit there. So we'll get that in order. And so, yeah, page 2 is shaping up. I'm thinking about putting something in the little space at the bottom. It's kind of bugging me that there's some space there, but the more time goes by, the more I like it just plain. I'm looking at it right now and it actually looks fine plain. I'm not sure why I was so irritated by it there as I was scrapbooking. I decided to use this piece with the little half circle in green on the edge of it, but I'm going to change my mind about that. I just felt like it needed some more pattern than what it has. I'm used to using a lot more pattern in my 12 by 12 pages and even in my project life. So this is part of the process. I do share my whole process, including the mistakes I make and the times that I change my mind about what it is I'm doing. So I have a bunch of pieces of chipboard and die cuts there in that little container, that little square dish beside me. That is from I believe it's from the Q&A kit. And so I just keep experimenting with what else I want to put there. I've decided I'm going to use this 4x6 card. It's blue and it says currently beginning. So I thought that was pretty good, and it's going to hold some of my journaling. I thought that was pretty good for this particular layout. So when I chose the topics for this Book of Me project, I did not peruse my Ali Edwards kits to choose the topics. I actually came up with the entire content for this class, if you're going to call it that, or project, several years ago. I think it might have been 2021. And I referred to a whole bunch of books. I got all the content, and then something happened that interrupted me, and I never did get it. It was all in notebook pages in in a little folder in my scrap room. And so I decided to finally put this together as content for my patrons. And so I just took another one of those badges from the Begin kit and I stuck it to the front of the Fresh Start acetate piece. And now I want this to be on a hinge. And I have these Avery L storage pockets that I used to store my stamps in, and I have a whole bunch of them. And I thought that the fold on it would make a pretty good hinge for this. So I'm going to use, and I don't have vellum adhesive. I really need to get some vellum adhesive, the kind of adhesive that doesn't show through see-through things, but I don't have any, so I'm just going to use score tape. I want to use something that's fairly strong, and I know that score tape is very strong, so I'm going to I do a pretty good job of hiding it here, but then I have to tape the other side to something, so it's the other tape that doesn't end up being hidden. So I'm just going to adhere this to one side of that flap. It was already scored because it's the flap of the envelope. And now on the other part of that flap, I need to glue it to the outside of the pocket page. So I have to grab a pocket page to know what it is that I'm doing here. So the card will go inside of the pocket page. And I'm trying to decide, is this going to, so yeah, if it was on the right side of the page, I could just fold that in and cover it because the right side of the page has all the openings. But I'm trying to put this on the left side of a page, which has no openings. So I'm going to have to glue it to the outside of the page protector. Now I could have just changed the way that I have this whole page set up, but I didn't want to do that. So I'm just going to go with it. You'll see when I show it that you can see the adhesive, but the good thing is that whenever I do get some vellum adhesive, I can just pull that off because it's only just glued onto plastic, so it'll peel off pretty easily, and I can replace it with some proper vellum adhesive and you won't see it anymore. What I'm doing right now is I'm just copying and pasting the journaling that I wanted to put onto this card. It's about, so it says currently beginning, of course. And my journaling says, I'm starting something new, something just for me. The Book of Me project feels like the perfect way to carve out space for myself in the middle of all the roles I play. So I had just been doing journaling about roles, so I thought that that worked there. I spend so much of my time showing up for others, and I love that, but I'm realizing that I need to show up for myself too. I'm hoping that through this project, I'll learn a little more about who I am underneath all the busyness. One page at a time, I'm telling my story in my own voice on my own terms. So this project is a bit of a reclaiming of my time after spending all of these years documenting my kids, focusing on my family. I mean, I've done a pretty good job of including pages about me as I go along, but you know, my kids are moving out at this point. I mean, as I'm narrating this, they've already moved out, but my last kid moved out in September, and I just felt like this summer was spent kind of adjusting to the idea that I won't have kids at home to take care of anymore, and I can start doing what I want, which is very nice. Don't get me wrong, I have loved parenting and mothering, and it's not over, of course. I'm still parenting my kids, but it's nice to have things shift a little bit. So this is how this flip up works. You can't really see it on the video here, but when I show it close up, you can see it probably a little bit, that adhesive. It's not completely see-through, but it looks okay. So I do keep on admiring my project as I go. This is the way that I work, especially when I'm doing a mini album or an album like this. I like to kind of flip through the pages, make sure that it's flowing well. Sometimes I come up with ideas for how to add embellishments here and there. And as I go along, it just kind of helps me keep the flow of the project in mind. But it also gives me a little bit of motivation to see how nice I think the pages are looking up until now. It gives me a little bit of motivation to keep pushing on with this project, which is at times it's a little tricky. So I need that motivation. Here I am trying to figure out what to do with this extra card before I start to work on the wheel that I mentioned at the beginning of this project. And I think I've already mentioned that I'm not going to end up using that card with the green on it. I do really like the green, and I like how it picks up on the green in the letter T here and on the previous page as well. But I'm going to end up looking for something with just a little bit more pattern in it. So I'm looking through my pages, my cards here, and ooh, I like this one. It says Good Times. And that might be from a Stories by the Month kit. I think it is. I think it's from the June Stories by the Month kit. But I love how that pink picks up on the pink in 3 of the letters in the acetate. And it just gives me that punch of pattern that I was really craving. I'm going to hand write the journaling. It says Good Times. So I am trying to figure out if it's going to fit by pre-writing it in my imagination before I write it down. It says, it's my turn to have the spotlight and I'm curious about what it will be like. And there we go, just underlining that to make it feel anchored on the page. And then I will add, see that yellow set of stickers up above? Those are word stickers from Allie Edwards. I'm going to add one of those. I'm not sure when. I see it here on the page in front of me as I'm narrating, but at some point I'll slap a sticker on there. It says, "The start of something." So meanwhile, I have moved on to thinking about how, oh, there we go. That's where I decided to do that. It just needed a little something else to pull the yellow out of the Fresh Start acetate and up into the page. I like that a lot. Now, again, I already mentioned what my plan is for this page. I'm just trying to decide. It's going to be an interactive one. It's going to have, at first I'm thinking maybe it will be like this, kind of sideways. I don't know what I'm doing here, so bear with me as I try to figure out how the mechanics of this might work. And I was live streaming as I did this, so you might see comments as I go. Those are from my tiaras over in our tiara community. I'm having a look at all of the things I have on hand. I'm thinking about potentially using that big paper with the coral colored wording on it that says memories. But to start with, I just know that I need to cut this out, so let's start by just cutting it out. I hand cut it. I thought about trying to find a circle cutter template that would work, and I just decided that I liked the idea of it being hand cut. And now I'm going to cut down this piece of paper, and I just want it to be the same size as all the other papers, it's actually more than 6x8 because these papers are designed to go in a 6x8 album, so they have a bit of a margin on them for you to punch the holes. So I started with this piece of paper, and as you can see, I'm thinking and thinking, and I'm going to end up changing my mind about this. I'll go ahead and I will I just keep this little template in the back of my book with the holes for the 6-hole punch. Since my 6-hole punch broke, it actually broke at the very beginning of this live stream, and so I was unexpectedly needing to punch all these holes today. I've decided to make this template a hole punching template, so I punched the holes on both sides of it, just so I'd have, I don't know why I did that. I don't know what my thought process was. So as I play around with the mechanism, I don't know why I am stuck on the idea of it being kind of like having the pocket be on the side, but I'm going to end up deciding for the pocket to be horizontal instead of vertical. And I'll let you see my thought process as I do that. So this is the back side of that paper that I had cut, and I am in love with this side a lot more than the other side. So I have the leftovers from that piece of paper, and yeah, so I'm thinking about doing it this way. I'm still thinking that I'll do it this way, and I'll hide the turning mechanism so that the edge of the pocket actually covers it. And now I had the idea of, wait a second, what if I do it this way? And now I have to decide which way do I actually want it to go, but I think I want it this way. Yep. I like the colors on that paper. I like the boldness of those asterisks that show up, and I like the mixed media look. At first I was thinking that the mixed media look didn't combine well with all of the very kind of clean cut items that were in the page up until now, but some of the challenges that I have coming up in future months, I know because I wrote the book, some of the upcoming challenges do include mixed media. So I thought, if I'm going to be including mixed media, I should probably include a mixed media vibe right from the get-go on this page. So it's pretty self-explanatory how I'm figuring this out. I just made my little pocket, and now I'm going to use this washi tape just to hold this down while I figure out where I need to punch the hole. The hole needs to go in both the circle and also in that background paper. So I have a little container of brads there. That's a Stampin' Up! Container, but those brads are not Stampin' Up! Brads. They're just a variety of brads from Michaels. And they are all of my brads that are just neutral looking. I put a piece of foam underneath of there so I don't damage my cutting mat. I found the center of the circle, marked it with a pencil, and now I poked it with my little We Are Memory Keepers brad tool. And I chose a very tiny brad. And now I just want to make sure, and those are just a bunch of layers of foam circles that were leftovers from a card I was making. I'm going to very carefully tear off that washi tape. And now this should spin. Yeah, it works. I love that. I'm very glad that it works after all of that effort, right? I'm using a very skinny score tape here. This is going to be handled, so it's different. When I'm scrapbooking for an interactive page like this that's going to be handled, that's not under a page protector, I use different products than I might have used on a 12 by 12 page. So this score tape is super, super sticky. It's not going anywhere once you stick something down with score tape. So I went all around the outside edge of this pocket with the score tape. What am I doing here? I'm taking it apart for some reason that I cannot remember at this point. Ah, yes. I thought to myself, this is something I wouldn't normally catch, but I thought to myself, hey, before I do this elaborate thing, maybe I should do my journaling on this circle first so that I don't have to try to figure out how to journal while it's attached to everything. So I took it apart and I'm using my centering ruler here to draw some lines. And I must have drawn the first one a little bit crooked or maybe too far down. I don't know what the problem was, but I did erase that. And I just have my journaling prompt here. So the prompt was, how would I describe myself to a stranger today? So I'm going to write the question on this side of the circle. I'm just spacing out my words here to figure out how big my letters are going to go and how I'm going to space them. So how would I describe myself to a stranger today? I am going to erase those lines and then I'm going to draw them back in marker. I use a Sharpie pen for most of my journaling. I sometimes will use a Staedtler Pitt pen or a Pigma Micron pen as well. I like felt tip pens for my journaling. And now my answer is more wordy, so I need my lines to be closer together. So I'm using my centering ruler, which has lines on it to help me align some journaling lines here. And my answer here says, I am quiet but confident in some ways, semicolon, introverted but social to an extent, semicolon, I long for connection but can thrive all by myself quite easily. This is not the strength I once thought it was, in brackets. I am a big thinker and not good with details. And then in brackets I have like this sentence. So I think I winged that. I'm not sure that I had pre-journaled that, so I'm just erasing all of those lines that I drew, and the Sharpie pen is good for that. It does not smudge or wear down very easily when you erase over it. Erase over it? Yes, you erase over it. I'm going to now put that all back together. I did underline the journaling so that it felt anchored on the page. I'm putting the spinner back together with the brad there. I like how it spins. And I'm just going to attach this now. Remember, I had already put the adhesive on it and on all three sides. And there we go. So just checking that the mechanism works. I do really like it. I'm going to just spin and play with it for a while here. I wanted to make the hole just a little bit looser, so you saw what I did there. I just basically closed up the brad, or opened it up, depending on how you think about it, and just spun it around in the hole a little bit to make the hole just get bigger, and then I closed it up again. Now I do want to put an arrow on this spinner so that it's clear to the viewer that there is some interaction to happen here. So I have these arrows. These arrow stamps are from an old Kelly Perky kit, and they're one of the best kit stamp sets that I've ever received. One of those sets I would have not chosen to buy, but really, really glad to have on hand for times like this. Just such an assortment of arrows in different sizes and shapes and directions. It's really great for these sorts of projects. I'm pretty sure I'm using Daffodil Delight here as the ink, the yellow ink that I'm using. I'm just seasoning that stamp with the oils from my hand, and then I will stamp that just like that. It could have been crushed curry, actually. I can't remember which ink I use there, but all of the ink that I use is usually Stampin' Up. And I'm just going to let that dry on the page a little bit. It is a dye ink, so it absorbs into the paper, but that paper, the Ali Edwards paper, has a bit of a coating on it from the printing process, and so it doesn't absorb ink quite as readily as plain cardstock would. So I'm just going to set it with my heat gun here. I could tell that by the way that it was kind of pooling up on the paper that it was not drying as usual. So I'm just checking, and yeah, it seems to be dry now. I'm gonna play around with that, and as I do, it feels like it needs a border around the top of it. I'm thinking maybe a border punch or something colorful that might pick up on some of the colors on the facing page. And so I'm going to look in my stash for something here, and I found actually this is part of the questions and answer kit, the 12 by 12 kit from Ali Edwards. I don't have quite a wide enough swath of it here because I've used it already for something else. So I'm just going to piece together a wide enough piece of it just by overlapping two of the layers like that. And now I will cut off a piece of it just like that. And my first plan with this was to do a scallop border along the edge of it, but I liked it so much as it was that I just left it. Didn't end up doing the scallop border. I like how that looks because it draws attention to the fact that, you know, the page, that page ends there, that it is a pocket. I think it could use a bit of outlining. I didn't do that, but looking at it now, I think it could use some outlining. Here's a really bold piece of chipboard. It says "so many questions," and I really like how it looks on the page. It just kind of finishes off, and it holds up to some of the boldness that's already on that background paper, that mixed media paper from Ali Edwards. So that looks really great right there. We'll just eyeball it and adhere it right there. So we are coming to the end of the beginnings prompts. I have one more thing to do, or maybe two. Yeah, one more thing that I'll do today. This is a photo of myself. I decided that I would scrapbook about my hair. I briefly flirted with the idea of growing my hair out. I liked it. I liked the looks of it, but it was I've had short hair since my mid to early 20s. and it was a lot. I have a lot of hair, and it was constantly falling out, and it was just like way too much. I don't know how you people do it. It's like a lot of work to take care of long hair. And I quickly abandoned that idea once it got to about shoulder length and cut it short again. So I thought I would document this even though it wasn't one of the prompts. So this project is made to be very flexible. There are way more prompts than what you would actually use in a month for most people. And I only used a tiny fraction of the prompts that were available. But even so, I decided to include something that wasn't part of the prompts. And that's what's great about this project is you can do some or all or none of the prompts. You can add your own ideas in, and the project is still going to be very true to the idea, which is, spend some time scrapbooking about yourself. That weird picture there of me is me dressed up for an 80s crop that we did. It was another Patreon thing that we did a couple years back, and I happened to have a large scale printer and needed to sample. I needed to print up to see how it would, like what the quality of a photo would be. So that was just the photo that I had at hand and printed. So I've been hanging on to that for a while, thinking, I'll throw that in a scrapbook at some point. I also have this beautiful photo of lady slippers from a walk that we took, and I definitely want to include this in my book of me because lady slippers are one of my favorite flowers, and it's a local flower as well that grows in our forests and including in our backyard, although this photo is not from our backyard, it's from a hike we took. And so I decided to just cut it down and put holes in it right now so that I know that I want to use it at some point. It can be a filler page. I don't know what I'm going to do with it exactly, but it's for some time in the future. Spoiler alert, it is October and I still haven't used it yet, so I guess I'm going to hang on to it for the spring now. I mean, there's no reason to not put it in the middle of the winter, I suppose. I am going to cut down this photo because it is printed at the wrong shape, but that's okay. It's as you can see, it is, yeah. So sorry about that. I remember now. I actually had to reprint it because it was printed at the wrong orientation. I don't know what I was thinking there. So I'm just reprinting it. I'll cut some of this out so that you can just cut to the chase. Okay, so here we have it printed up. It does need to be trimmed down a little bit by the look of it. I wasn't sure what I was going to do here. I've got a variety of different things I can put in here. I'm looking through these badges from the Begin kit, and I think I'm going to put it right here, just on my shoulder there. It says, "Opening my heart to new beginnings." And then I'm going to take one of those long strips that's also from the beginning kit. I'm going to grab it right now or in a minute. When will I find it? Yeah, there we go. One of these. Some of these are numbered and some of them are not. So I'm taking one that isn't numbered. And I'm just going to, it just needed something to balance or anchor that circle. It looked fine without it, but I do want to say something here because it looks like I want something to make it clear what journaling is going to go with this. So here is the reprinted. It took a while for my inkjet printer to print that at the right aspect ratio, but now there it is. I'm going to draw the circles using the previous page as the template, and then I'm going to punch them with my hole punch. That is a We Are Memory Keepers. I think it's a 1/4 inch hole punch. And then I will use ATG to just stick these two pieces together. Basically, I was pretty much done scrapbooking. I was all out of inspiration for the day, but I wanted to have something on the back of that page just because I didn't want that brad showing. So we're going to finish off this page, and then I'm going to show you what I leave undone, which is the journaling that goes with this. It's still not done, but I am going to come back to it at some point. I'm going to place that sticker, and even though it doesn't align with the holes on the page properly, I'm still going to place the sticker there. I thought about doing some journaling right on the photo, but instead I wrote it here. It says, "Not too long ago, I had long hair." That's it. That's all that it's going to say on this. But on the facing page, which I don't do today and I still haven't done, I'm going to hold some space for some journaling about why I grew my hair long and what I learned. And there's also going to be a 4x6 photo of me with short hair after I cut it short after having grown it long. So that's going to be in this chapter of my book of me, even though it's not done yet. It'll be something that'll be done over the course of the next however many more months we have left for this. So I am popping this up on the page because it does have to layer over top of that fabric badge, which has a bit of height to it. So I'm using some Stampin' Up! Dimensionals because they're the perfect size. They're not terribly dimensional. They're just a little bit dimensional. And I really like how that looks on the page. I'm just going to make sure that those holes line up, and there we go. So that's all that we did for today, but I will include some photos that will show you the space that is held for the other photos that I haven't done yet. Is there going to be another flip through? Yeah, a slower flip through right here. And then you'll see some photos at the very end as well. Thanks so much for watching, and please feel free to stay till the very end if you'd like to see some of the close-ups. I did have these pages under page protectors so that there's a bit of glare. I hope that you can see them okay. But before we jump into the photos, I want to give a quick shout out to my amazing Patreon supporters. These folks truly help make this channel happen, and so I'm very grateful to each and every one of them. Tiaras get early ad-free access to all of my process videos, plus real-time unedited versions, often in the form of live streams. We live stream most weeks these days. They also get exclusive behind-the-scenes content from my craft room and my process, along with sneak peeks into what's coming down the line for the channel. They also have access to our Discord community, which is a growing, cozy scrapping and crafting community where we share our work and chat with each other. And there's lots of goodies over in the Discord community as well. So as you can see, these are the photos, and I just wanted to give you some close-ups of how some of these turned out. Be sure to check out the links at the end of this video to see all of my other process videos. I hope that you enjoyed this page and these projects, and as always, stay tuned for more scrappy inspiration. Until next time, take care, and this is what those last pages look like with the holding space for more journaling coming up. Take care and have a really great scrappy week.